There we go. John, over to you.
All right, thank you, Crystal, and good evening, everyone. Tonight, I will present an overview of resources available to guide and clarify the Pathways program. This is not going to be an exhaustive exploration of any one resource, and I decided against using PowerPoint as much of the content is best demonstrated live, so I'll be going to the website a little later. The four broad resources I'd like to present are Toastmasters.org website, the Cornerstone On-Demand Pathways platform, which is csod.com. I'd like to introduce several district and world initiatives that were generated by members above and beyond Toastmasters International. And I'd like to conclude with the most important resource at all, and I'll have more on that later. My presentation is approximately 8 to 10 minutes, and I can entertain a few questions and suggestions following the presentation. And now, through the magic of screen share, I'm hoping you're seeing the website. Good. It always comes up funny.
Yes.
See the website. Great. Okay. Toastmasters.org. From the perspective of a prospective member, I might want to know a little bit more about Toastmasters. So it's pretty intuitive. I just simply click about. And here I can learn all about Toastmasters. I can understand what the Toastmasters mission is. I can understand the history of Toastmasters. I may also look through the Media Center and have a look at some videos. Moving on to Pathways, which is the point of tonight. First thing we see there in the drop-down menu is Learn More. Well, that would be a handy feature, wouldn't it? And the website is a little slow tonight. That's all right. Gives me a chance to breathe. Okay, the important thing to remember if you send anybody to this particular page is to warn them about the big yellow Access Pathways button. Because if you click that, it will want you to log in, and a prospective member may be discouraged enough to go away from the site. But this is a useful page, the opening page here. The lower list basically jumps you through the text of this page. The two key items are pathways, paths, and projects. Any one of the 11 paths can be selected, and this shows you the 5 levels. I'll just randomly choose one. The 5 levels within the path. All of the compulsory projects are listed, and through drop-down menus, you can also look at the elective projects in the upper 3 levels. So that's a handy thing for somebody checking out Toastmasters to be able to see. Also under pathways, under this page is the sample your first project. Now, I did not know this until just actually earlier this morning, but that is the full icebreaker project. And you can, if you click on it, it's quite slow loading, but you can even if you're not a member, you can walk through the entire first project. There's some additional tutorial guides to get you through it, but it gives you a really good idea of how the Pathways program works. I think that's an excellent. So the icebreaker is there for anybody to try out, and it's a good way to encourage a potential member to have a look at the program. Also under this tab, there is frequently asked questions, a resource library, public speaking tips, podcasts, and a video, and these are all publicly accessible without logging in. So that's a good resource for a potential member to be sent to. I will now log in, and for anybody who wants to be in touch with me, my email is jblumsum@yahoo.ca, and my password is ... I don't recommend you use dots as your password, but it works for me. As soon as we come up here. Interesting thing here, once you're logged in, once you're a member and you're logged in, is that under the Pathways tab, you can either go to the start page or go to Basecamp, and basically either one will get you to the same page. That page being, and I'm going by the menu bar at top, start-pathways. My options here are to choose a path, which a new member would do, or an existing member who's pretty much run out his 3rd or 4th path would want to do in the near future. There's the navigator, and this is a little clunky, but it is a valuable read-through document, particularly for a new Toastmaster. And of course, access my path through Basecamp. Now, there are shortcuts to get to your transcript. I could have clicked on Welcome John, but that doesn't take me to the same page. And the reason I would want to go through Basecamp would be to access the Pathways resources. And they're coming up. Your transcript, that basically leads you into your program. And if you notice in the top menu bar, we are at csod.com and not toastmasters.org. That is Cornerstone On Demand. And that's was a publicly traded company. It's now been bought by a private equity company. I don't know why I told you that. I just did too much research on it. So I thought I should share. The speech evaluations, I'll just click on that briefly. That will bring up all of the speech evaluations for every project in the Pathways program. Excellent resource. And the big one is the tutorials and resources. There's a good list here. The tutorials are basically a long list, and there doesn't seem to be any option to arrange them by title only, which can be a little cumbersome to go through. So there's tutorial videos and there's video transcripts. If you choose written, you can go to the transcript and it's presented in like a table form, the verbatim account of the actual video. The evaluation resources, I showed you the other option to get to those. That's the evaluation for every project. You will notice that these include Arabic, French, and German. You can filter to English only or French only if you prefer, or any other language that's available. The problem with this site is you have to do it for every one of the resources. You can't, at the top of the page, pick English and have it stay there. So that's the evaluation resources. Project descriptions. Again, they come up in every language on Toastmasters. That is the project descriptions for all of the projects. Again, they don't seem to list out in a simple text list. Resource documents, these are good. There's a 360 evaluation, that's for an advanced project. You get into all sorts of the evaluation projects, ethical framework, and the resources. Traditional Chinese. Okay, there's also an event planning worksheet. There's a goal setting worksheet, task list, identify your skills worksheet, all sorts of useful worksheets to access. And of course, you can go after the navigator again in the language of choice. And as I said, it's somewhat clunky, but it does take you through everything from Toastmasters International to a typical club meeting, officer roles, how a meeting might look or be, and then plus the sign up or the onboarding for Pathways to get yourself going. And of course, frequently asked questions about everything under the sun. And finally, down the bottom or closer to the bottom here is supplemental reading. Now, I'm not going to go into the detail on that. Lesley is going to do another separate talk on the supplemental reading, so I'll leave that up to her. But as you can see, it has expanded, I think, within the last 2 days. It was originally for level 1, and now it's for level 1 and 2. And this is basically the nuts and bolts of presenting a speech and writing a speech. And when we switched from the traditional program to Pathways, some of the technical skills were sort of lost initially, and they brought it back with the new level 1. So Lesley's going to explain that a little bit later. So that is the Pathway site and the Toastmasters International site. I'd now like to move on to something else. And that's worldwide district resources that have been created by members. They weren't created by Toastmasters International, and they weren't created by Cornerstone On Demand. These are member-generated documents. And there's, I'd like to highlight 3 very useful ones. If it would come up, it would be good. I believe I've lost a page. I'll describe them then. The first one is the first 90 days onboarding document. This is available as a Word file. It shows an Acrobat icon, but it's actually a Word file. And it's available on the website, the District 45 website. It's easily customizable. And I believe it was generated by a District 45 Toastmaster. Now within that document, and I apologize, I've lost the three that I wanted to show. If you'll indulge me for just a second. They are gone. The second, they're coming back. No, they're not. The second one I wanted to mention is actually referred to in the first 90-day document, and that was created by a District 5 Toastmaster in Southern River, Perth, Australia. And it is a somewhat dated document. It's 2018, so it only has 10 paths and the old level 1, but it's a good basic document that could be used to craft another one. And the final one, the one I really wanted to show you, is the, and I'm going to take a minute to find that, is the District 57. Now that's Northern California, and District 57 has been updating their efforts pretty much consistently over the years. And they have a version 5, which was updated in December of 2021. It came back. Great. So I found them. I will put that on full screen. This document here is an excellent resource for seeing the whole Pathways program at not quite a glance because it's a big program, but it's a very well laid out document. You can click on any of the paths and it will drop down into the compulsories, all the electives in each of the levels, and it's very easy to follow. The other good thing is once you do that, you can go to an index, and there again in simple text hyperlinks are all of the projects within Toastmasters, the project descriptions. So that's a very good resource, and I'd recommend that to anybody to simplify having a big picture look at Pathways. And finally, I'd like to get to the most important resource I wanted to talk about tonight, and that is the most important resource in Pathways is human resources. Now, I'm not talking about an HR department, the actual members of Toastmasters. Long-term members have the experience and have gone through several iterations of the Toastmasters program, up to and including Pathways. A digital format does not diminish the importance of this collective knowledge. In many ways, it makes it much more important. So don't be afraid to ask an old guy like myself, and since I know Baxter, I'll suggest Baxter as well, for guidance or advice. Also, don't be afraid to offer suggestions or guidance. It's all about providing a mutually supportive and positive learning experience. And that's my presentation. I'm not sure, Marion, how much time do we have for questions?
About 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay. So there are any questions or any suggestions of any other good sources for resources?
Nothing in the chat yet, John, for questions, but you're welcome to come off mute and ask a question if you have one.
I see that the author of the 90 days document is Sandra Savage. Or no, that was the District 57 document.
Yes, correct. The District 57 document, the Pathways catalog.
So John, how, oh, sorry. Yeah. John, how are people like these sites that you're talking about? How are people going to get access to those? Are you going to put it in the chat, or are you going to, how will people find out that after the?
I have everything in a document, all the hyperlinks. I'll put that together. I didn't have time to get it together for this speech, but I will put it in a hyperlink, and then maybe the committee can look at it. And if we think it's good, we can make it available on the website.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. District 45 is working on the education and training page for the website, and we will have a specific spot for Pathways resources and that kind of thing.
Hi.
But
What? Oh,
Sure.
sorry, but your vice president of education in your club also has access to some of the stuff because they come to the VPE peer calls, and we have a drive where I've shared some information with them as well. So they're a great resource in your club.
So
Sure.
just from the big picture, it's log in, look through the pathways, choose a path, and then you follow all the modules within the path.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
And then the modules in the path, I believe, are standard. So you have your icebreaker in each path. Then you have a level 1, level 2, level 3 with 2 electives, or level 3 are the 2 electives.
Yeah, level 1 is a new level 1. There's 4 or 5 projects. Level 2 is, I believe, a 3 project. Level 3, 4, and 5 is when you get into 2 or 1 compulsory, and then either 2 or 1 electives.
What's the difference between the compulsory and the elective?
The compulsory projects are how they've sort of customized it, so the 11 paths are not quite the same. Like for presentation mastery, the compulsory project at the higher levels would be specific to becoming better at presentations. Innovative planning, it would be more planning related, or so that sort of customizes the paths.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just add something there, John? For each of the levels, so level 3, there is one project that's mandatory. So that would be the compulsory one. And then the electives, there's multiple, 5 or 6, maybe 7 different ones. And you could choose maybe 1 or 2, depending on what that level is requesting. So there's a lot of options. So it's not just for every level, here's what you have to do. There's one you have to do, and then you have a couple of options. So it's nice to have those options.
Any other questions? I think my time's about up. All right, well, thank you all for your patience with me stumbling through my lost files, and hopefully you gained something from my talk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. We appreciate you taking the time to research and give us some tips and tricks. Much appreciated. And next, to give us some more information, I'd like to introduce you to Lesley Carter. Lesley, over to you.
Thank you so much, Crystal. And first of all, I'm going to say, geez, John, did you have to give up all my secrets? You'll see what I'm talking about in a second as we get into it. And I like to say that I was a Pathways guide too. So some of you might remember me from being a Pathways guide a couple of years ago when the Pathways program first came out. So I'm excited to be on the Pathways team and be here tonight presenting about some new changes that have happened to the Pathways program recently. And I'm going to share a couple of them with you. And John gave us a preview already. So in October, Toastmasters made a big significant change to the Pathways program based on member feedback. And many of us know of this, and some of you might already be working on it. What was that change? Does anybody know? You can unmute if you know what the big change was.
Level 1 changes for
That's right.
variety and
exactly, Marianne.
the speech
Thank you. So they made significant changes to the level 1 projects in order to sharpen the focus on public speaking fundamentals, which, to be honest, is the reason most of us joined Toastmasters in the first place, right? So how do anybody working in the new level 1? Yes, and thumbs up, thumbs down, like it so far. Okay, I'm just going to explain a couple of the changes that happened in case some of you aren't familiar with it. The big things that happened is the new level 1, well, it has 4 projects and 5 speeches, so that's not really different than it was before, but the icebreaker has been substantially updated with new content. The evaluation and feedback project is still there, and it's still 2 speeches, but there are 2 new projects. One is writing a speech with purpose, and the second is introduction to vocal variety and body language. The previous researching and presenting project that previously was in level 1, that's now gone to an elective in level 3. So this new level 1 is included in paths purchased after October 27th. So if you purchased your path before October 7th, you'll be working in the old level 1 format. And if after, you have no choice, you'll be going right into the new level 1 format. Any questions about the new level 1 before we move on?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
Yes.
One thing that I find that it's taking me a bit to get used to the new level 1 is with the evaluation and feedback, there's now an evaluation form for the evaluation.
I think that's valuable. I
Which
kind
is
of wish I
great.
had that before. Exactly,
But
because
we didn't have it. So it's just it's a
Mhm.
habit to remember to get somebody to evaluate you. Because
Good
I just did it
point.
this week. But
Good
it's great.
point. That's
'Cause
something
you can
probably the
check in.
base camp manager will find out when they go to approve you too, and we'll be asking, where's your evaluation for that?
Yeah.
That's really good, because I feel that probably the thing that frightens me the most about anything in Toastmasters is giving an evaluation, and getting feedback on evaluation would be super, super helpful. Now we have another exciting
Lesley?
change. Yes.
Peter
Sorry,
has his
Peter.
hand up.
Yes, you're right. I saw you, Peter, before. I skipped right over you. What ahead? Was there another question, Peter?
You're on mute, Peter.
Muted. I'm guessing the new format for level 1 goes through all the paths, right?
Yes. Yes. So any path purchased after October 27th will have this new level 1. And then all the paths, which regardless of what 10 paths you choose, you'll have that level 1.
Okay, the new, yeah, okay, that was a rudimentary, just wanted to make sure that I thought.
Nope.
Thank you.
Good question, actually. Thank you so much. Any other questions before we move on? No, I don't see any. Okay, so now we are also, John gave us a little introduction to another exciting change that happened to level 1 at the same time, and that was supplemental reading material. So if you're looking for more reading to support your Toastmasters learning experience, you can now access this resource called Supplemental Reading Material. And it's accessed directly from Basecamp. Joan showed you one way to get to it. In a little while, I'll show you another way to get to the supplemental reading material. And it consists of specific Toastmaster magazine articles chosen because of their applicability to basic speaking skills. So we all love the Toastmasters magazine, but probably we don't get to read every single article in every single edition that comes out. So Toastmasters recognizes this, and they have picked out some of the best ones, especially that would apply to people who are working in level 1, and they have made them available to people in level 1 right from Basecamp. So it's like having your mentor sitting right beside you, like we used to when we were in person. And the cool thing is too, that you don't have to be working in the new level 1 format to have access to these. Any level 1, even the old format, can still access the supplemental material. And I'll show you that in a second. I kind of compare it to buying a new car. My husband and I just bought a new Subaru, and it has a ton of crazy buttons. Anyone of you ever have a new car too? I feel like I'm sitting in the cockpit of a plane. It took me 2 weeks to realize where the gas was. I almost ran out of gas because I couldn't figure out how to tell if I had any gas in it. So sure, you can drive the car fine without knowing what any of these buttons mean, but I've started to take a look at that manual that came with the car, the thing that takes up your whole glove compartment, you can't put anything else in it. And now I realize that I'm really getting the most of driving my new car because I know what these buttons mean. So it's kind of, I see the supplemental reading is like that. It helps you to get the most of your Toastmasters experience. Sure, you can go to Toastmasters without doing the supplemental reading, but if you really want to get the most out of it, to read these articles, and once I show them to you, you'll see how applicable they are to what we're doing every day. Okay, so let me log on and we can take a look. I'm going to share my screen, hopefully. So here we see the Toastmasters login screen. Everybody confirm? Yeah,
Yep.
Thumbs up. Okay. I'm already logged in, and to go quickly to Basecamp, I'm going to click on Pathways, and I'm going to go to Basecamp. It's kind of exciting that I'm doing this today because just yesterday, there was a new update to supplemental materials. So I kind of had to switch everything around today. So I'm going to go to Basecamp. I'm not going to log in as Basecamp manager. I'm going to go to my own Basecamp. And you will see at the bottom of our screen, a new suggested learning, and it's called Supplemental Reading. And it says Supplemental Reading Level 2. Yeah, that just showed up yesterday, which is really, really exciting. Now in October, if you had first come on to Pathways and Basecamp in October, you would have had this pop-up screen show up. And I grabbed this from the internet, so someone has circled the boxes for me. But this is what you would have seen in October, just to show you, bring to your attention that we have this new resource. So yesterday, this is the pop-up that we have. So probably if you haven't been in Basecamp since Sunday, if you didn't go in today or yesterday, you're going to see the screen pop up and tell you that now we have access to level 2. So just before, like Sunday, we only had access to level 1 supplemental reading material, and now we have access to level 1 and level 2. Because I have looked at all my level 1, it doesn't show up in my suggested learning anymore. It's just like doing, let's go and see here. We'll go to my paths, maybe. So because I've completed, I'm just going to show the things I've already completed. Supplemental reading shows up there. And I go to open curriculum. And just like when we're working in our projects and pathways, we launch and complete each reading material as we access it. The one I'm talking about that I really, really enjoyed and I find super difficult to do on Zoom is get my hands into the screen. I'm trying really hard, but I'm too low. I have to work something with my camera or something. So I'm trying to get my fingers up here. But here, when I read this article, it gives a whole bunch of hints on different things that you can do on Zoom to get your body language going. And there's 7 different things we can do. And there's pictures. So this is an article. You might have already read it in the Toastmasters magazine. But if you didn't, it's here, and it is basic information that is so valuable and so good to know. Sure, you can do a speech without knowing this stuff, but to know this stuff is just going to make you a better speaker. I go back to my reading material here. I go to the new one. Oh, well, shoot, let me see. If I go back to where it showed up on my home screen, let's see if we can do that.
Lesley, Peter does have his hand up there if you wanted to take.
Sorry, Peter. Yes,
Oh,
go right ahead.
I didn't want to
No.
interrupt. If ultimately the supplemental readings will be in all of the levels,
Yes.
that's the plan. So just start with level 1 and then they'll work their way through.
Yep. So I'm going to show you what happens today. So now
So
supplemental level 2 showed up today. So I click on it and then I can add it to my curriculum. Yes, go ahead, Peter. I keep interrupting you.
I wanted to, so this is a comment as much as anything, and everybody else here is much more knowledgeable than I, but when you use gestures, it will almost bring to your mind, it will help you bring to your mind the point you're making in your next, if you will, topic or paragraph, next point. The gesture will help you. Does that make any sense?
It's true. It's true. But I find I'm making them too low, and the people that I'm presenting to aren't seeing my gestures. So I'm making gestures, but you guys can't see them. So that's something that I have to work on personally.
No, that's a question. I just, for me, I'm not very particularly good at gestures yet, but the more you develop that habit or skill, it will bring to mind the thing you're going to say next. That's just it.
I'm watching you, and just in the 30 seconds that you just spoke, you did more probably hand gestures than I've done in my entire speech right now. So don't you discount yourself for sure. I'm going to watch you from now on. Was there anyone else who had a question before you move on?
Winnie has her hand up.
Hi, Winnie.
Winnie, you're on mute.
I was wondering, if you have an old level 1, I still have access to the supplemental reading
Yes.
list. Okay, good. It's all in Basecamp. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay, good.
Yes.
Thank you.
When you, like I said, when you log on to Basecamp today or tomorrow, you'll see level 1 and level 2 if you haven't already activated them. You click on them, and then I can say open curriculum.
Yeah, so everybody can do it for that matter.
Yeah.
The supplemental reading. Thank you.
And now I have added this to my training, and I can launch any of these and read them and launch and complete. But it's all, none of it is required. It's all extra material. You're not going to have to complete these levels or these modules in order to complete a level or anything like that. It's definitely just for your own information. And I almost think that this is information that I would get when I was in a meeting. I would have this one-on-one and feedback from people in the meeting, and I might get this from listening to them talk about things in the meeting. So this is just that extra little things that's helping us to become better online speakers, which will be ultimately better in-person speakers, hopefully. Was there any other questions about supplemental material? I think that is it for me. I don't think I have anything else. Oh, one more thing. If you lose it, you can't find it, you can go to tutorials and resources, just like John had showed us before. And I can go to supplemental material. And like I said, on Sunday, I only had 5 things here, and now I have 10 things. It doesn't show you what level they're on, but you can access them from here as well as going to your curriculum. That's it for me. Thank you so much, everyone. If you don't have any further questions, I'm going to turn it back to Crystal.
Thank you so much, Lesley. This supplemental reading stuff is pretty exciting, and it shows that they're still updating, they're still adding and changing. So it's not just stale information or stale projects. Like, they are working on things behind the scenes. So it's pretty exciting. Thanks for sharing all those tips. Now I have the pleasure of introducing you to our Pathways Committee Chair, Casey Jenkins, who's going to share a few more tips. Over to you, Casey, and you are on mute right now.
Thanks for the reminder, because I almost forgot. I will be sharing, okay, here we go, Google Chrome. Am I sharing? Yes, I am sharing, cool. All right, so this is gonna be kind of a casual one. I am going to go back, we'll go through some of the same things. I like to go in through the welcome when I go to Pathways, and that'll bring me right here, and then I can go from base camp, go to base camp right there. I think it's a little bit faster. I need to get rid of that. Okay. Now, the first thing I want to show you is oops. I want to show you that. Okay, where did yeah, here we go. The first thing I want to show you is keeping track of the roles that you take during a meeting. I know that some people are missing the competent leadership because there were things to do. But in Pathways, you actually do need to do some roles to get through your path. Everybody's going to do an evaluation in the level 1. You're going to end up doing several, since I'm sure you're going to go through many paths. You're going to probably be table topics master, and I'll get to that one in a minute. Toastmaster, and I think general evaluator are the 4 that you have to do to get through the levels. Your pathway, but here's how you can keep track. You can go into your account, onto your picture, and that's going to bring up this profile here. I need to get rid of this. Go away. All right. Now, here we go. And if you scroll down, you can see, oops, not there. Went the wrong place. It's under your, oh, it's here. It's on your portfolio. Nope, not that one. All right, I've lost it. I know it's here somewhere underneath my account. Aha, I knew it was there. You'll bring up your preferences, and here you can keep track of the dates that you've actually done something. Now, I forgot to save it last time. I had put the things in and didn't save it, but like last meeting for Toastmasters on the 7th, I was an evaluator, so I'm going to save that. So yeah, that way, close that. That way, your base camp manager can go in and see that you've done things, but you yourself can keep track of things that you've done. So you've known that you haven't been a timer for a while, or you haven't been a general evaluator. Unfortunately, you can only keep one date at a time. So you just can update it to the last time you were whatever role you had taken. So that's one thing you can do within Toastmasters, within Pathways, is keep track of where you are. Now, let's go back to, and I'm always having problems getting through here because I'm on a small screen here. And okay. The other thing we'll talk about is what I'm going to do is actually go somewhere else here.
Can I?
Well, I'm
Can I
sorry.
add? I missed, because I'm not as quick as me, how you got into preferences. It seems marvelous, because it'd be a great idea to keep track. I know that I've been trying to, for the last couple of weeks, keep track of what everybody did, but if I could keep track of,
Okay, it
my
is,
own.
if you
how did you do that?
you go to the wheel and go to my account, and that brings this up. So you go to the settings wheel and my account. And then you have other things under your, where you can look at your badges and things like that. And now we'll go back to learning, Basecamp profile.
The wheel is key, I guess. Here.
So,
so the
and
wheels
that's under your picture when you go there, and you go back to your paths and learning, just like that. So that all that's under your picture. But for the one that I just showed you, it's under the settings wheel and my account.
Okay.
And that allows you to keep track of things.
Yes.
Okay. And no, I am.
Casey, is there a way the Basecamp managers can see what the members have done?
Pardon? I didn't quite hear that.
Is
Okay,
there a
the
way
other
the Basecamp
thing,
managers can see what the different members have done? What roles they've done?
I'm having problems understanding.
She's asking, can the Basecamp manager see the roles that the member has completed if they've filled that?
I believe they can. If I remember correctly, they can. I don't remember how to get back to it. But I think you can see the roles that they've taken. You can see their profile. This was, and you'll recognize this as John had shown this. The other thing I wanted to talk about was sometimes you not sure, you should never do anything for free, right? That's what we always tell them, Toastmasters. There's always going to be a project or something that you can do. For instance, tonight, Lesley did inspirational speaking. John did questions and answers. I'm not sure what Crystal was doing, but she was doing a project. And this is part of my level 3 project that I'm doing, planning and implementing with doing this. And let me scroll down here to here. So some of the things that you might want to do if you're a table topics master, active listening. You want to do it, it is a required for like 2, but for most of the levels, it's most of the paths, it is, it is an elective. So, and it's a very easy one to do because you're doing table topics anyway. You're listening to the people and you just can ask them questions or talk, or after they give it, recap what they've said to show that you heard and listened to what they've said, make comments on it. It's a very easy one to get out and give you an elective, a level 3 elective. Another one that you can do is, all of us have been doing online meetings. You've been a Toastmaster. You can do, that's a level 4, do an online meeting. If you're an officer, for heaven's sakes, be sure you do, I believe it's, let me get back up here. It's a level 4 for an officer. Go back to the table of contents. And it is volunteer, it is somebody remind me, it's the volunteer one. It's leading. Now I've gotten it already. It's
Leading in your volunteer.
leading in your
organization.
volunteer organization. After 6 months, you can do this one. If you've been an officer, you should definitely be doing this one. This is a level 4, I believe, in there. The other thing I wanted to cover fairly quickly tonight, and I will be finished, is the, go back to Google Chrome. Okay, as not pathway projects. Problem is you get all this stuff on here and you can't find anything, right? Tab, yeah, is, oh, right here. Is the track your success card that you guys have seen. And there's several things you could probably do with this one. You could do a speech on inspiring your audience and talking about selling the idea of Toastmasters, or selling the idea of doing participation, of being in pathways. You could use presentation software. That's a level 3 elective for most things. There's a membership, there's running a membership, if I remember correctly, and this, I don't see it here, run a membership drive. You could do public relations strategy, do a PR campaign, or you can do a blog, or do, as John did tonight, a Q&A, and that would be great for running a Moments of Truth. You can do a panel. There are all sorts of things that you just go through. Don't be afraid to try something, and pretty much can fit something into it. And Peter, I see you've raised your hand again, so.
Cheryl, I believe in the chat, just asked a question. Is this track your success in each of the paths or modules? And I know where it is and I've accessed this, but can you answer that or Cheryl's question?
Now, this is just from, this is a program that the, I believe, Club Growth is doing, right, Crystal?
Yes, the track. the
District
Track Your
45 is
Success.
doing, yeah, and for January and February, I'll give you points, and I believe, and if you send it in, you get in for the drawing for quite a few good bucks there, for quite a few Toastmaster bucks or district
In
bucks.
the magazine, and
Pardon?
it's in the magazine, I think, this particular thing, and so you can see.
It's
if
in
you
the
can-
newsletter, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was in the newsletter.
Yes, newsletter.
So, yeah, this is, so there are things, so if you're working on this, which your club should be doing, there are things that people can do to get credit, so you get credit, pathways credit, as well as track your success credit to go towards that, the contest. And with that, I'm going to say I'm finished.
Great. Thank you, Casey, very much. So just a quick recap on the Track Your Success card. It is an incentive that was created by the Club Growth team, Sherry McDonald and her folks. And the objective is to get people participating in district events. You'll see a lot of the squares where you can earn points are for attending something the district is hosting. So this would be a great opportunity for someone to lead this as a Pathways project, as Casey was saying, and try to get your members in your club to do some of the squares. And depending on what it is, you get a certain amount of points. There are some great prizes. And if there's questions, I did put the link in the chat. It's on our District 45 website. You can download some Excel or a Word document so you can track it as you go. It started January 1st and it does run until February 28th. And there's prizes. The first prize is $150 US, second prize is $100 US, and then there's 4 additional draws of $50 US each. So if there's questions, you can email Sherry directly, and all that information is on the website link that I shared in the chat. So we still have about 14 minutes. If you have any other questions related to Pathways now is the time to ask them. Sheila, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was trying to help one of the other VPEs figure out how to see where each of your members is in their pathways path. And I remember what it looks like in my mind's eye, but I can't remember how to get to it, where it shows each person in a graph of how far they are along on their path.
Okay.
path
In
they're doing. How do you
reports,
get-
in reports.
Hmm.
Basecamp management report.
Lesley, did you want to show that? Your VPE, right? Just, it's nice to be able to see it on the screen and kind of follow along. So just give Lesley a second to pull that up.
Being distracted by my cat. Another online thing. Okay, let's see.
But we're not seeing this cat that you're talking about, Lesley. Come on. Is it camera shy?
Yeah, no, he's like scratching under my seat.
Okay, he wants to play.
He wants to be petted or fed, one or the other.
Or both,
Okay.
maybe.
Yes, exactly.
Great question, Sheila. We'll definitely
I
run
think
through here.
maybe I have it open. Hold on. There we go.
Okay, we can see your screen.
There was a question previously about if you can see your preferences for your team too, when people put their club roles.
Mhm.
And so this is where Basecamp managers can find that as well. I'll just show that quickly. I click on one of my members in Basecamp, and then I can see all of the roles that she has entered into her preferences section in Basecamp. So that's good to know, that when you enter that into your wheel, when you're logged into Basecamp, that your Basecamp manager can see it. I go to standard reports. I'm logged in as Basecamp manager, and it's giving me weird. It's
So
been
this
weird
will,
all day.
I just want to clarify for some members that may be new, what Leslie's showing now is for Basecamp managers. So that would be president, secretary, or the vice president education only. So if you're a member who is not a Basecamp manager, you won't have access to what Leslie's showing right now.
Got it.
Mhm. And show how it's very, very slow.
But I understand.
Member progress.
Honors.
Oh my goodness. There we go. The trick is when you get to this page as Basecamp manager, always remember to refresh, because it's only giving you the last information that was there. It's not giving you the newest information. It's only giving you the information since the last time that you refreshed. So going through here, I can find, so if I say view details, maybe I can actually see what was happened for each member of my team. So I can see when they did a report, when it was completed. I can see which Basecamp manager approved it. And there's many different reports I can do here, level completions. So I can see level 1s, level 2s. There's a lot of great information that Basecamp managers can pull out of these reports. And then what I've done, there's another resource that we have for the district. So I've taken all this information out of Basecamp and added it to an Excel report. And it's also in the reports that Crystal was talking about. So I have all my members, I have their paths. When they complete a project, I'll give them a check mark. When they complete a level, I'll put a check mark in that section. And then magically, without even doing anything, you can go to the second tab on this Excel spreadsheet, and it will tell you where everyone in your team is, how many projects they've completed each level, how many they have to do, and it's for all levels. And you can see here for Diane, she did level 1 and then she skipped up to level 4, but I can still keep track of that. It doesn't have to be in order. That's a really interesting thing, so that you can use your dashboard from your reports in Basecamp to take the information. You have to do it by hand, but bring it into this Excel sheet so that you can follow your club as well as a Basecamp manager.
Is that helpful, Sheila?
I didn't quite understand how you took it from here into the spreadsheet. Is that an existing spreadsheet?
Yeah, so this is a spreadsheet that we have empty on the district website that you can download. I've shared it, I've saved it to myself in Google Drive so that I can share it with my club members. However, you don't have to, you can keep it on your own computer. It's an Excel spreadsheet. And I put my members in, and as they complete a project, I'll check it off in the spreadsheet. But perhaps I missed something at my club and I can't remember if they did a project or not. I can come into these reports and look to see exactly where everybody is in each project, to make sure I haven't, and make sure that my template that I'm filling in by hand matches the Basecamp manager template. Because if they don't match,
I'm counting on Bill Powers to have understood all that.
And we can talk about that at the VPE calls too more if needed. I do have a couple of other questions in the chat. So John, I'm going to give you this one if you're okay with that.
Great.
What is the length of time a path and a level should be completed?
I'll start with a level. For instance, the new level 1 is 5 speech projects and an evaluation. So you're talking, if you spoke every week, 6 weeks, but realistically, if you're in a club with 15 to 20 members, you may speak 4 or 5 times a year. So it depends on the club you're in, how eager the rest of the members are to do projects and what your time is. You can also visit other clubs to sort of expedite your pathways. A whole path, I am yet to finish one, and I've been in Toastmasters as you for over 20 years, pathways for about 2, but I'm up to level 4 on a couple. It's the level 5 projects that are holding me back. I would say reasonably a level, you could do it in a year, but probably closer to 2 years. Sorry, a path, probably closer to 2 years, unless you're in multiple clubs.
And
Great.
the other thing to remember is you can skip around and do projects in later levels and get them done. And you used to be you had to go in order, but now they took that away, so now you can actually skip and go in. So if you see something in level 4 and you're still on level 2, but you're doing something at work, or you're running an online meeting or something like that, and you want to count it, you can go ahead and do it and have it approved. And if you finish that path or that level, you could have it approved by your Basecamp manager.
Yeah, it's all
Peter has-
opportunity knocks, answer the door and do a project that fits another level.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Thank you, Casey. Also, Cheryl, it is a go at your own pace. Just that is really important. This is your journey. So there's no set time frame for you to complete a level, to complete a path. It is completely up to you. And it also depends on, the number of times your club meets a month and what the agenda looks like, how often you can get on it. So there's no one answer fits all, but the key is that it's up to you. Okay, another question that is in the chat, whoever, Lesley, Casey, John, whoever wants to take it is fine. Under open curriculum section of a path, what does the move to archived transcript refer to?
That's a new one on me, but I'm going to write it down and find out what that means.
Okay, Lesley, any clue?
This is a multiple choice. We're going to see who gets the best answer. Maybe I'm going to guess that if you remember when I showed the supplemental reading material and I showed that it was completed? If I'm completing a path, it will always show up there in my path, and I'll have to scroll. If I've done a million paths, I'm gonna have to scroll down. If I put it to archive material, I'm not going to see it anymore. I can still see it, but it's not going to be there because I've completed all the projects in it, and I don't have to scroll to get by it in order to see my current projects. That's my guess, if I have to say anything.
That's actually a very good guess. Because
Okay.
I believe exactly that's how, I believe Deb covered that in the base camp.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
something to do.
We have 3 minutes left. I know there's a couple more questions in the chat, but I know that Peter has had his hand up for a little bit. So Peter, we'll go to you next, please.
Well, Winnie had her hand up too, but John said something a moment ago, and I was going to comment and ask, a person can give a talk, and guess it's been addressed in the last several comments, that in a club you're not even a member of or were a member of before, or you could even be a member of more than one club. So my question is, and it's been answered, you can give a talk at some other club and get credit for it in your own club, I think.
Yep, that's correct. As long as you make sure that you have someone evaluate you, and then you have to complete it in your base camp. So for example, if someone was fanatic about pathways and wanted to do a presentation to our members, they had great tips to share, and that was something they wanted to do, they could come to us, the Pathways Committee, and say, you know what, I'm really good at this in pathways, and I'd like to present it because I think that other members should know this. They could use it as a project. We'd get that all set up, and then they'd be able to complete a project outside of their club.
Right. So, and then, but you also have to, your vice president of education has to have that record also when you're through. Is that so?
So you would have someone do the evaluation and send it to you, and then you could have them email you saying, you know, you've completed this project on this date at this occasion, and then you could just forward that to your base camp or to your VPE, and you could let them know beforehand that that was happening to make sure that they're in the know as well.
All of these things are so new to me, and I have difficulty remembering many things, but yes, I think I remember all you just said, and thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we have time for one more, so we'll take the ones that are in the chat and we will answer them afterwards. But Winnie, I know you've had your hand up there for a bit. You're on mute. Winnie, did you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know whether it was Casey. I think it was Casey, but maybe when Lesley spoke, I don't know anymore. When you were talking about tracking your progress, all the work you did, all the roles you did, there were these bar graphs, and at some point things were mentioned, like there was an Excel spreadsheet and how you get from the dashboard to the Excel spreadsheet. That whole sentence I do not have and don't have a clue what that's about. Could you repeat that, whoever said that?
Sure, that was Lesley.
Lesley, yeah, okay.
So I can use those reports, Winnie,
yeah,
to verify what projects and levels my team has done, my members have done. And then I can export that to Excel. But that's a bit cumbersome for me. You can export it to Excel. I just leave it on my screen. And then I open another screen with where I have that Excel spreadsheet open. And I just go through and look, okay, they did that on that date. And then I go over to my Excel spreadsheet and I just check it off over there. So there's no magic. It's just looking back and forth at the two different pieces of material and doing it by hand.
Okay, and what does the dashboard have to do with this?
The dashboard is just basic reports that Toastmasters thinks are the best ones for us to access without doing too much problems.
Okay.
So dashboard, they have just taken the reports that they think are the most important and put them all together on one page.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay.
Well, this was an exciting evening. Thank you to my fellow committee members for taking on this opportunity to present to our members. We will be having another Pathways therapy session next month. I'm just pulling up my agenda here. And I don't have it right offhand, but it is on the District 45 calendar, and we will be sending out reminders of the session. We would love to hear from you beforehand so that we can prepare our presentation and answer your questions. So please, if you do have questions, you can send them to us. I know my email right off by heart, so I'll put it in the chat and you can send us questions for future sessions.
So the next session is February 22nd.
There's Anne with the District 45 calendar right at her fingertips. Thank you, Anne. This session is recording, and Anne will be posting it for viewing later, so you can always come back to it to refer to those questions. So I appreciate your time tonight, and we look forward to seeing you at next month's session. Take care and have a good night.
Thank
Stay
you.
healthy, everybody.
Thank you. That's very good. Thank
Night,
you.
everyone.